The entertainment world of South Korea has been plunged into profound grief as the heartbreaking news of veteran actor Lee Soon-jae's passing spread across the nation on the morning of November 25. For over 6 decades, Lee had been one of the most respected figures in Korean television and cinema, an icon of warmth, wisdom, and irreplaceable artistry. To many, he was not merely an actor on the screen, but a comforting presence, a symbol of familiarity, and the true embodiment of what Koreans affectionately called the nation's grandfather. Today, as the industry mourns, the final pieces of the story behind his departure have finally been revealed, and millions are struggling to accept the quiet tragedy that unfolded in his final days. According to major Korean broadcasters such as MBC and KBS, Lee Soon-jae passed away early in the morning at the age of 91. His agency later confirmed the news, explaining that the actor's health had deteriorated significantly in recent months. Behind the glowing stage lights and the timeless performances, the reality was that Lee had been privately battling multiple health complications, which eventually left him unable to move comfortably without assistance. He had been undergoing extensive rehabilitation therapy in hopes of regaining even partial mobility, a testament to his unyielding discipline and determination. Yet, despite this effort, his condition continued to decline. His absence earlier this year at the 37th Korea PD Awards, where he was scheduled to receive an honorary recognition, was an early sign that his health had worsened. On April 15th, instead of appearing on stage with the dignified smile that audiences had grown accustomed to, his representative accepted the award on his behalf. During the acceptance speech, Lee Seung-hee, standing in for the actor, voiced Lee's message to fans. He truly wanted to be here, but his health would not allow it. He hopes everyone understands and continues to send him strength. It was a rare moment when the industry realized that behind Lee's famous resilience was a man quietly fighting a battle no one could see. Yet this was not the first time health issues had forced him to step back from the work he loved. Last year, during a performance of the play Waiting for Godot, Lee was suddenly unable to continue due to overwhelming physical exhaustion. The decision to cancel the remaining shows was devastating for him. Friends and close colleagues revealed that Lee apologized repeatedly to the staff and cast, even though he was the one who had suffered the most. It was this unwavering sense of responsibility, an unwavering dedication to professionalism that had defined his entire life, that made his final struggle even more heartbreaking. Born in 1934, Lee Soon-jae built an extraordinary legacy through more than 6 decades of acting. He first appeared on television in 1961, marking the beginning of a career that would leave an indelible imprint on Korean culture. Over the years, he starred hundreds of TV dramas, films, and theatrical productions, shaping the emotional landscape of generations. His roles in High Kick, Potato Star, What Is Mom Doing, and Late Blossom solidified his reputation as an actor who could effortlessly bring both laughter and tears to audiences of all ages. It was through these roles, especially as the humorous, wise, and loving grandfather figure, that he earned the beloved title of Nation's Grandpa. But behind the public image was a man who constantly pushed himself beyond the limits of age, refusing to let his passion fade. Colleagues often spoke about Lee's incredible memory and near-obsessive dedication to mastering his lines. Even in his later years, he insisted on rehearsing scripts repeatedly, claiming that an actor must never forget a single word. To him, acting was not a profession. It was a lifelong promise he intended to keep until his very last breath. The revelation that his final months were overshadowed by difficult rehabilitation adds a deeper layer of tragedy to his passing. Those close to him described how he tried to walk on his own again, holding onto parallel bars with trembling hands, refusing to quit. He told his family that he did not want to inconvenience anyone. That stubborn strength, an iconic part of who he was, ultimately became one of the most painful aspects of his final journey. The man who had brought comfort to millions was suffering quietly, enduring each day with the courage few truly understood. As the news of his passing spread, condolences poured in from across South Korea and beyond. Actors who had worked closely with him shared memories filled with admiration, gratitude, and deep sorrow. Many described Lee as a mentor, a pillar of wisdom, and the last of an era. Younger actors recounted how he would always encourage them, place a gentle hand on their shoulder, and offer advice with a sincerity that left a lifelong impression. Even in his 90s, Lee would remind them to stay humble, to treat acting with respect, and to remember that art begins with the heart. The South Korean public also responded with overwhelming grief. Social media platforms lit up with messages from viewers who grew up watching him on TV, often recalling how comforting it felt to see him on screen during difficult times. "It feels like I've lost someone from my own family," one viewer wrote. "He was the grandfather I never had," another said. For millions, Lee was more than an entertainer. He was a part of their childhood, their memories, and the emotional history of modern Korean entertainment. His contributions did not go unnoticed by the nation. In 2018, Lee Soon-jae received the prestigious Geum-kwan Order of Cultural Merit, the second highest honor in South Korea's cultural landscape, recognizing his immense influence on the arts. But even with such achievements, he remained humble, expressing that he only wished to give back to the audiences who loved him for so long. Now, as his family prepares for a quiet, dignified funeral in accordance with his wishes, South Korea finds itself reflecting not just on the loss of a veteran actor, but on the end of a historical chapter. Lee Soon-jae's death is not merely the passing of one individual. It marks the departure of a living archive of Korean entertainment history, a man whose presence shaped television for more than half a century. And perhaps that is why the revelation of his true condition, his struggle with declining mobility, his battles with pain, and his quiet endurance, has left millions stunned. The nation's grandfather, who always smiled through the screen, had been hurting far more than anyone realized. Knowing that he persisted with such dignity until the very end has turned his passing into a collective heartbreak that the country will not soon forget. Though he may no longer walk among us, Lee Soon-jae's voice, his laughter, his unforgettable expressions, and the decades of performances he gifted to the world will continue to echo across generations. His final chapter may have been filled with suffering, but his legacy remains one of unwavering strength, boundless passion, and profound humanity. May the legendary grandfather of the nation rest in peace. Millions mourn today, but millions more will carry his memory forward, forever. As the nation mourns, discussions have begun to surface about the larger cultural significance of Lee Soon-jae's career and what his absence means for the future of Korean entertainment. For decades, he represented a golden standard of professionalism that younger generations had looked up to. His dedication, humility, and relentless work ethic stood in stark contrast to the increasingly fast-paced, commercialized landscape of modern Korean media. Critics have pointed out that while many actors today rise to fame quickly, few possess the longevity, consistency, and deeply human approach